Okay, my name's Jonathan Clark, and I'm doing a couple of videos here to teach you how to use a plugin, an application called Jamstix, and it's used for producing drums in various types of music. You know, it's good for everything. It's good for rock music, alt, indie, jazz, blues, whatever, electronic music. Okay, it's got a lot of power, a lot of flexibility, but in this particular video, because it's a little bit complicated to install if you don't go through the traditional installation manager program, I'm just going to quickly go through the whole installation process. Now, I'm on a Windows machine, so if you're on a Mac, it's going to be a similar process, but slightly different. Download locations, installation directory folders will be slightly different and whatnot, but a lot of the principles of getting this thing installed should be exactly the same. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it up and running in ProTools, and I'm also going to get it up and running in a VST host, probably Ableton, I guess we'll use. Okay, so let's get started. Basically, I paid the money I paid online for this download, and they say to allow up to 48 hours for you to get your license key and download installation instructions in an email. Mine came pretty quickly. It was only 8 or 9 hours, which I thought was kind of impressive because it was a holiday weekend. So, you know, during normal business hours, it may come a lot faster. Anyway, I got this email, and I'm not going to show the whole thing because my license key is in the email. But the important thing is you can see here, this email has an attachment. It's a file called jamstix3_license.rztlkf. That's the license file. We're going to have to come back to that in a few minutes. Now, as for the contents of the entire email, I copied, cut and pasted them into a Word document, and as you can see, I blanked out my customer key. Anyway, the main part of this email, you can see download Windows. There's an installation manager to make this a little bit easier, but I'm going through the Windows thing here to show you, to give you a better idea of the entire process. So I'm going to Control-click on that, and it's going to open this download page. And so you can see I bought the full studio package, so I got all the different plugins, absolutely everything that comes with it. You don't need all of that stuff for for programming some basic songs. So look at the different options. There's quite a few options available. There's 5, 6 different levels, I think. So we're currently in Jamstix 3. It's Christmas 2014. There is a revised version, Jamstix 4, coming out in 2015. I don't know if that's going to come out in a month or 12 months, but it is coming out in 2015. And if you buy the 3 version, you will get a free upgrade to version 4 when it comes out. So there's no point waiting. You may as well download it now. Great software. So for starters, let's start saving some of these files. I'm going to put them all in my download folder, jamstix3_setup.exe. So that's an executable file. Then we have the stock kits, parts 1 and 2, and we have the stock kits from Jamstix 2, the older version of the software. So these kits are the basics of what you're going to need to get Jamstix running. That'll give you a bunch of instruments to play with. If you don't buy the XL pack and the metal pack and all these other packs, you'll still be okay as long as you have your basic stock kits that come with Jamstix 3. Okay, so let's get all of these downloading. And you can see that's a zip file. I'm going to put everything together into the same folder. And this is going to take a little while for all of these to download. So I'm going to keep the camera running, but we're going to do a fast forward time lapse here to speed things up for you. Okay, so now the software has all downloaded. I had to go get a new battery for my mouse. But anyway, everything is downloaded. And if we look into the downloads folder, you can see I've got all these different files that have downloaded. So let's start off with installing the Jamstix setup. So I'm going to run it. Now, instead of just double clicking to run, because I'm on Windows, I clicked run as administrator. You shouldn't have to do that. I just naturally do with everything I'm installing. It's just a good habit, I guess. So accept the agreement. It's going to install in a folder directly in the root of the C drive. This is a bit odd. I would normally install it in a folder inside the program files folder or the program data folder, which you can see program files, program data. But for the sake of convention, I'm going to leave it in the folder that it defaults to. That's probably safer most of the time. Now you can see this comes with 3 different types of effects. It's got VSTs in both 32-bit and 64-bit for Windows. It also has AAX plugins, which are 64-bit. So the difference is a lot of different applications, DAWs, use VSTs as plugins. Now ProTools, most versions of ProTools do not. They have their own separate type of plugin. For a long time it was the RTAS plugin. Now that we're into Pro Tools 11, a 64-bit plugin is called an AAX plugin. Since I'm using Pro Tools, I am going to install them, and since I'm also going to use them in programs such as Ableton, Cubase, stuff like that, I'm also going to install the VSTs. So, and it's called a VSTi, Virtual Studio Technology Instrument, because Jamstix is really an instrument. Okay, so where should the 64-bit plugins be? Well, in my system, on my C drive, I have a folder called Plugins 64. And I have a folder called Plugins 32 for my 32-bit plugins. And I do not have a folder for my AAX plugins because they go in a specific folder elsewhere, which I will show you in just a couple minutes. So let's go back to our setup. Plugins, the 64-bit plugin, I'm going to put in my plugin 64 folder. And I think it found that automatically, yep. And 32-bit is going into my plugins 32 folder. That was impressive that it found those. And the program's shortcuts are going to go, I like to keep things small and simple, we'll just call it Jamstix 3 as the folder. Okay, so that looks like that's all good. And so let's start installing. Okay, now you see this warning. Remember to copy your license key to the Jamstix folder. Okay, if you look over on my C drive, aha, there we go. So we can see this folder there now, and you can see it on that side in the Explore view. So let's go back to our email, and we will right-click on that file that came with the email, save as, do not change the name on it, and we're going to put it in the Jamstix folder, save. Okay, at this point I can close that email, and you can see that right here it has come into the folder, so that's good. So now, at this point, what's the next step? Well, I already have my Pro Tools key set up in the computer, so let's go ahead. We've done that. Do we need to view the README text? You can if you want. I'm not going to. So now let's open Pro Tools and see if Jamstix has shown up. And we will just use a blank session or a generic session template. Let's call this Jamstix test. Save on the desktop. And looking at Pro Tools, now this is going to be different in every DAW. We'll play with Ableton in a minute too. Now let me backtrack for a second and show you where these AAX plugins got installed, because remember how I said the 32-bit plugin is there in the 32-bit folder. my 64-bit plugin is in my 64-bit folder. Well, you have to go to Program Files, sorry, not Avid, go to Common Files, then go to Avid, and then go to Audio, and then Plugins. And you can see here are where all the stock AAX plugins that come in Pro Tools are located. And within it, Jamstix.aax plugin. Now that's a folder with the same extension as the actual plugins. So is that right? Does that make sense? Contents, x64. Jamstix.aax plugin. You'd almost think that this plugin itself should be out here in the plugins folder with all these other plugins. But don't change it. It works fine, okay? The way it's installed is good. So going into Pro Tools, let's pick, because this is an instrument, we want to instantiate or create a copy of this instrument on one of our audio tracks. And in order to do that, it's good if it's on a stereo track. Do not put it on a mono track. This is multi. So I'm going to make my track. I'm going to put on this keys track. I guess I could put it on the drums track. That would make more sense, wouldn't it? Okay, so drums track. And this is a stereo track. You can see main out L/R, left, right. So it's obviously a stereo track. Let's show our inserts. Okay, so on the drums, we're going to put an insert. And we're going to put multi-channel plugin. And if you look down into instrument, here it is, Rayzune's Jamstix 3. So we click it, boom, up it pops. So it's working already, in theory. Now, one drawback, we have not installed any of the kits. So if I was about to go and do something here, it would say no sounds, no kits, okay? So because of that, what we want to do is we're going to go back into our downloads folder, which is right here, and I am going to now get rid of this executable because we've already installed it. And all these different packs that I've downloaded, I'm going to unzip every single one. So, extracting, and this will only take a few moments, hopefully. Obviously, if you buy one of the lesser versions, which is a little bit cheaper, you won't have as many kits to worry about. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 zip files. So I missed one there somewhere. AI pack, bonzos. Oh, I missed one of the bonzos. Okay, so now I have all these zip files extracted, which means I don't need those anymore. These files here are the kits which now need to be installed by Jamstix before we're going to get any noise out of Ableton or whatever. And because I don't want to erase these after I'm done and have them gone forever, I'm actually going to create a new folder in here, InstallPak files. Okay, so I'm going to copy all my downloads except for the setup. So all of these packs, instead of in my downloads folder, are now in this InstallPak_files folder within my Jamstix folder. Okay, so now coming back to Jamstix in Pro Tools, what you want to do is you want to go to your Kit tab. See 4 tabs, Song, Kit, Mixer, Options. We're going to Kit, and we are going to right here install Pak, and it says big red warning, new sounds will not be shown in Jamstix until it is closed and reopened. Okay, that's good to know. This tool will install the stock kits and expansion packs. Make sure you have downloaded, yes, and unzipped, yes. Click select pack files, highlight them all, and install them. So I'm going to select pack files, and you can see in Jamstix 3, there. So I'm going to hold down my Control and Shift key so I can highlight all 11 of them at the same time. I'm going to open them, and you can see now they're all in here. Okay, so now let's just click install. And again, this is going to take a few minutes, so I'm going to time-lapse this to speed it up. Okay, our installation is complete. Obviously that took several minutes. There's over a gigabyte of downloads, and once that's all uncompressed and installed, it's probably it wouldn't surprise me if it's 3 or 4 gigs of samples. A lot of stuff there. So, new sounds will not be shown in Jamstix until it is closed, reopened. So we're done. Now if I just close this and then click on it to reopen it, that did not actually close and reopen it. It only hid the window. So, in order for my sounds to work, I have to go click on the left side of my insert instrument here. Left side, click no insert, and then I go in multi-channel, down to instrument, down to Razoon's Jamstix, load it a second time, and then it is now going to work. So as just a quick test, let's use the wizard. I know you haven't learned how to use this yet, but wizard, and we are going to go with a song, and let's say that our structure, intro, verse, verse, chorus, chorus, bridge, chorus, chorus, end. Let's say that's almost exactly what I want for my song, except that I want only a single repetition of the verse. And let's say that the bar lengths of each of those verses and choruses happens to be exactly what I wanted. You can change it, of course. Style. Let's say I want a heavy snares style. And so this is an old Motown sound. You can see instructions or a little info background. So I'm going to load the style. See, now it's set up in my style. And then my drummer, Jamstix, well, let's say I'm a big Genesis fan from the 70s and early 80s. Let's use Phil as a drummer because he's got that Genesis sound. Okay, so we have to load him. So now I have heavy snares for the style, Phil is the drummer. Standard kit, should we use a standard kit? Well, we've got a lot of choices here. Yeah, let's use the standard kit, why not? So there's all kinds of stuff that I can change here, but let's say that this is what I want. Create song. Okay, the song has been created over here, and so you can see how many bars for each section, how many repetitions for each section. And if we want to play it, let's see if it plays. Is it going to play? There we go. Okay, so we're only getting part of it playing, but at least we're getting noise out of it, and that means that it is working. So in another video, we'll come back to actually using it. Okay, so let's close this out. So we'll close that first, then we'll close ProTools. Save changes, no, don't need to change. And let's also get things up and running in Ableton Live, because Ableton does not use the AAX version of the plugins. It uses the 32-bit or the 64-bit, depending on your system. Okay, so now we have Ableton up and running. So I'm going to open the browser, and within the browser, right now I'm looking into the directory of my D drive. I'm going to go up to plugins. Now, you can see Jamstix is already visible as a plugin in my system. However, it may not be visible in yours yet. And so what happens, you have to go to Options, Preferences, and the first time that you're using plugins, you have to click on that link, VST Plugin Custom Folder. So plugin 64 is the custom folder I want to use. And if this was off, see, this is basically what's going to probably look like when you first load this. Your plugins folder will look empty. So you go to Browse, and then you find your folder, click OK, and Ableton finds it, turns this on automatically for you, and finds the plugins. Now, if you've already been using plugins, then it's possible that other plugins will show up here. Jamstix will not show up. So you go into your preferences, File and Folder, and you go Rescan, and that should bring it up. Okay? But anyway, now we can see that our plugins folder can see the plugin for Jamstix. So to use it, I just drag it over, drop Files and Devices here, let go of the mouse button, and boom, up it pops. And then you can do the exact same thing that you did with the last situation with ProTools, and you know, work with it from there. Now, do you have to add your different sounds and so on? No, because we've got lots of the wizards already ready to go, because we installed our kits, our packs, our installation packs already. Okay, so basically that's how you get it up and running and set up into your DAWs. So let's go back to our other videos now and talk about how to use this properly.